On a night charged with tension and uncertainty, Jerusalem was about to become the epicenter of an event that would forever alter the course of history. The atmosphere was dark and oppressive, mirroring the turmoil that gripped the city. What was about to unfold was not merely a sequence of historical events, but a profound act of sacrifice and redemption that reverberates through the centuries. We are talking about the death of Jesus Christ, a pivotal moment that not only redefined Christian faith, but also marked a watershed moment in human history. As we delve into this narrative, we will explore the details that transformed an apparently mundane event into a story of hope and transformation. To ensure you don't miss any details of this powerful story and other in-depth analyses like this one, subscribe to the channel. This way, you'll stay informed about the narratives that have shaped our world. In the heart of Jerusalem, the atmosphere was one of agitation and tension. The city, dominated by Roman power and the complexities of Jewish religious administration, was on the brink of chaos. Herod, the local ruler, maintained a fragile balance of power, while Roman oppression stirred discontent among the inhabitants. Amidst this turmoil, the Jewish Passover was approaching, a time of celebration and reflection for the people of Israel. Yet for many, this festive season was overshadowed by a growing sense that something imminent and terrible was about to happen. The streets stood as silent witnesses to whispered conversations and feared prophecies, as tension mounted with each passing day. The people, yearning for change, lived with a hope intertwined with fear. Religious authorities, concerned about Jesus' rising popularity and his critiques of the system, saw him as a threat to the established order. The city was saturated with a charged energy, a portent that what was to come would be monumental and inevitable. The charged atmosphere of Jerusalem became even denser as Passover approached, and preparations for the most significant event of Jesus' life were underway. At the Last Supper, a deeply symbolic and meaningful event, Jesus gathered with his disciples to celebrate the Passover feast. This was not just a simple meal. It was a gathering filled with significance and mystery. As the disciples settled around the table, Jesus took the bread and wine, traditional elements of the Passover meal, and transformed them into symbols of his own body and blood. With these words, he announced the imminent redemption that would come through his sacrifice. This act was not merely a meal. It was a prophetic gesture and an invitation for his followers to join him in a new covenant. By offering the bread and wine, Jesus was establishing a ritual that would endure for generations, a constant reminder of his sacrifice and his unconditional love. Each gesture and word carried immense weight, preparing the disciples for what was to come and laying the foundation for the central practice of the Christian faith. After the profound celebration of the Last Supper, Jesus withdrew to the Garden of Gethsemane, a place of tranquility and reflection, but also of anguish. Upon arrival, he asked his disciples to stay awake and pray while he went off to pray alone. The silence of the night was broken by the sound of his deep and intense agony. In the garden, Jesus faced a desperate inner struggle. He knew of the suffering that lay ahead and, in an anguished prayer, asked the Father if it were possible to remove this cup of suffering from him. His words echoed the intensity of his mission and the weight of the impending sacrifice. "Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me, yet not my will, but yours be done." The disciples, exhausted and unable to keep watch, fell asleep while Jesus' spiritual battle unfolded. His pain and anguish intensified, revealing the depth of his commitment to the mission he was about to complete. The prayer in Gethsemane was a crucial moment, demonstrating Jesus' humanity and his complete submission to the divine will, setting the stage for what was to come. As Jesus prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane, the calm of the night was shattered by the arrival of an armed mob led by Judas Iscariot, one of his own disciples. Judas' kiss, a prearranged signal to identify Jesus, marked the moment of his arrest. The scene unfolded in a tumult of confusion and fear, with soldiers apprehending Jesus while the disciples, in desperation, attempted to resist. Jesus was initially taken to the high priest Caiaphas, where he faced a series of false accusations and a trial that resembled more of a sham than a legitimate judicial process. The witnesses brought to accuse him failed to provide consistent evidence, and the statements made were distorted and contradictory. The legal chaos culminated in a desperate plea to Pilate, the Roman governor, to decide Jesus' fate. Pilate, seeking to avoid responsibility, offered the crowd a choice to release either Jesus or Barabbas, a notorious criminal. Pressured by religious leaders and influenced by the crowd, the people demanded Jesus' crucifixion. Before Pilate, Jesus remained silent in his defense, an image of resignation and acceptance of the fate he was about to face. This part of the trial marked a crucial transitional moment, from condemnation to the imminent execution, setting the stage for the central event of the sacrifice. With the condemnation sealed, Jesus was forced to carry his cross through the streets of Jerusalem to the place of his execution, Golgotha, also known as Calvary. The path, now known as the Via Dolorosa, was a painful and humiliating procession. The crowd gathered along the route, some with expressions of curiosity, others with pity or even hostility. The weight of the cross was a physical and emotional burden, intensified by the scourging and the mockery of the Roman soldiers. Jesus, already exhausted, received help from Simon of Cyrene to carry the cross to the top of Calvary. Each step was a testament to his perseverance in the face of immense suffering. Upon reaching Golgotha, Jesus was nailed to the cross in a brutal and agonizing act. His hands and feet were fixed with nails, and the cross was lifted, exposing him to public scorn and extreme suffering. As the sun began to fade and darkness enveloped the scene, Jesus, amidst his pain, spoke words that would resonate through the ages. Among his final statements were his forgiveness of his tormentors and the confirmation of his mission. The scene of the crucifixion was a fusion of pain, humiliation, and sacrifice. Jesus endured both physical and emotional torment until the culminating moment of his death, a sacrifice being consummated amidst a scene of intertwined terror and hope. When Jesus finally expired, the sky grew dark, and the earth trembled reflecting the magnitude of the event that had just occurred. The witnesses were overcome with a mix of awe and despair. The temple veil tore from top to bottom, symbolizing a new era of direct access to God. After Jesus' death, his body was taken down from the cross with the help of Joseph of Arimathea, a member of the council who had become a secret disciple. He requested permission from Pilate to bury the body and, with the help of Nicodemus, prepared a new tomb carved out of rock for the burial. The tomb was sealed with a large stone, and a detachment of Roman soldiers was stationed to ensure that no one could remove the body. The scene of the burial was marked by profound silence, broken only by the lament of those close to Jesus and the echo of a hope that seemed, at first glance, to have been extinguished. This burial, though final in a physical sense, set the stage for a transformative event that would challenge expectations and establish the foundation of a new hope for humanity. The death and burial of Jesus were moments of deep sorrow and desolation, but the impact of this sacrifice extended far beyond the tomb. With the tomb sealed and the Roman guard stationed, it seemed that hope had vanished. However, the event that would follow would forever change the course of history. On the morning of the third day, something extraordinary happened. The stone sealing the tomb was rolled away, and Jesus rose from the dead, fulfilling the promise of his resurrection. The tomb was empty, a glorious sign of victory over death and sin. The women who went to the tomb to anoint the body found the angel who announced the resurrection, a moment that defied all human understanding. The resurrection of Jesus was not only a proof of his divinity, but the confirmation that death had been defeated and that the promise of eternal life was now available to all. This event became the cornerstone of the Christian faith, a symbol of renewal and hope that would continue to inspire and transform lives through the centuries.